Hi, AT from CNC at Home. I want to make some tags that will be numbered to use to keep track of car keys. I volunteer at a program called the CarClinic, and we will typically do anywhere from 6 to 9 cars on a Saturday. And it could be anything from a brake job to control arms, tire rotation, a variety of different things that the guys do. They don't let me touch the cars for the most part. I get to run the computer side of things, keep track of parts that we purchase so I can create invoices, that sort of thing. To keep track of all of the keys for the cars, it's nice to have a tag on there with a number. We number all the cars 1 through 9 as they come in for the day. I want to have the CarClinic's logo on there and then the number 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way up to 9. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let's get started with the design. The first thing I'm going to do is bring in the logo. I'll go over to my art library and double click on the CarClinic logo and bring that in. I've tried doing a trace image on this, and because there's so much gray in this, it's just very difficult, and the trace image ends up not working how I want. We're going to end up burning this as an image. I want to have an oval around this whole thing, so we'll come over to our circle tool, and I'll just make an oval about the right size. It doesn't have to be exact. We'll get everything to fit how we need it or want it. Okay, something about like that. Actually, that's not too bad. I want this maybe a little bit smaller. So from the center of the ellipse, let's just make that 90%. That was too much. Let's make it 95. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm going to shrink it up just a teeny bit. Okay, that's not too bad at all. Now this whole thing's way too big. I don't need this to be, how big is this? Let's grab our material here and look. So its width is 185, almost 186 millimeters. I really need this to be more like 50 millimeters, so quite a bit smaller. Let's go ahead and grab everything and just resize this so that it's 50 millimeters wide. Okay, not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and just plop that down in the lower corner, and then we'll zoom in on it over there. Now this outside part I'm going to cut, so I'm going to put that on a different layer. I'll put it on red for cutting. We'll make sure to take this red layer and make that a cut through. We'll also want to set the parameters for our image. I want to have a hole over here so that we can put a little hook or a rope or something, not a rope, but it'll be some sort of hook or clasp to connect the keys to it. And we'll go ahead and make that circle, we'll make it 3.175, which seems like an odd number, but that's 1/8 of an inch for those of you that aren't doing metric. And then we'll just center it up. I'll just do a shift, select on the big oval, and then we'll just center that so that it's along the same vertical axis. Okay, maybe just move this over. Oop, too much. Move this over just a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and assign parameters. So I go to over in our material library, under acrylic, orange, we have an image setting. So I'll go ahead and assign that to our image layer. And then for the red one that's going to be cutting through, I'm going to come down here to my 2.75, which is about the thickness of that orange. So you can see here orange cut through parameter. I'll assign that to the red layer. Now this is all ready to burn. One more thing I want to do is once this burns, I want to flip the material over and put a number on the other side. So in light burn, I'll just go into the text. And let's just do a number 1. And we'll put that on its own layer as well. I have to get it selected first. There we go. Then put it on its own layer. And this one is going to be orange etch fill. So we'll go ahead and assign our parameters to that. And we will rotate this Just going to press the period, which rotates at 90 degrees at a time. I'll do a shift select of my oval and center it. We can go quite a bit bigger than that, so let's get that about 150%. Just the number, 150%. Okay, that looks good. I don't know how some of the bigger numbers are going to fit, so let's change this. A feature within Lightburn that helps you work with text is if you right-click on your text and go to Edit Text Shape, you get this really cool dialog. It shows you the text that you have, the font you're using, the size, the spacing, a lot of the parameters for doing your text, and it's easy to read. So once you've rotated something like we did here, or if you're having it follow a shape, it's a little harder to read. This works really great. I'm going to change that to an 8. I'm also going to change the font. Let's go to something a little more classic. Just going to go to Times New Roman for that and click OK. And you'll notice the letters or the number is shifted a little, so I'm going to do Shift Select, get that centered up again. And that looks like it fits fairly well. So I think this size is going to work well for us. Let's go ahead and change that back to a number 1. And I'll have to recenter that. So we'll just do Shift Select, recenter, and there we go. Now, if I want to do a bunch of these, and I do, we're going to use our array function and make several of these. So let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit so we can see what's going on here. Now that we have this, let's go ahead and select everything. Come over to our grid option, and I'm going to do a 3x3 grid. And I think 2 millimeters in between each of these will be just fine. Probably even more than we need. Except I made a mistake. Let's cancel this. You'll notice I didn't get my little hole over here. So let's cancel this and make sure that I grab everything. I'll just do a Control A. Go back to our array and we'll get our 3x3. And we'll do 2 millimeter spacing on that. Okay. I'll need to go through and update these numbers. So essentially I'll just, now first I have to ungroup them. When we make our array, it groups everything. So I'm going to ungroup that. Click on the first number, go into edit the text, make that a 2. Okay. And then do a shift select on my oval, center that, and I'll do that on all of these. So I'll just let you see me do that real quick and I'll stop talking. There we go. We've got our 1 through 9. And for the first part of the burn, I will just turn the output off for my numbers. That way it'll do the image for the CarClinic and then it will cut out the oval. If we do a preview, we can see how that's going to burn. I want to take a look at my path. Okay, that looks like it's going to do that pretty well. So it does each item by itself. That should be fairly efficient. So about 44, 45 minutes. If I turn on my numbers, do a preview, we'll see that's going to take 19 minutes, but it's also going between numbers. So there's a lot of movement that we don't need. What I'll do on this blue layer is I will, under my optimization, I'll say fill shapes individually. Making that one change, we go from 19 minutes to 14 minutes. So we take 5 minutes off of the burn. So we've eliminated all this movement in between the numbers. This is all ready to go to the laser. So let's go ahead and send it to the laser. Let's see how that burns. These turned out really well. I also ended up making a number 10. That wasn't part of the video, but I've got a number 10 now. These will work really well at CarClinic. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the content of our channel, think about subscribing. That really helps us out. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects. Oops.